if you're going to be buying some type of sports car, what should you be going for if you're going for what we like to call a mid-performance car, not a high-performance? We're not talking a Lamborghini Aventador SV or a freaking Bugatti Veyron. We're talking a mid-size performance car. Should you go for this lovely Mustang GT 5-litre V8? Because you're watching Agents YT, and this is the car review series. I'm also filming on a different location due to different reasons this time. So, in the front seat, need to close the door because we're next to the road here. So, it's a bit on the bland side in the interior. They're trying to keep it as simple as possible, which, to be credited, it's actually a better marketing idea, because then you can't scratch the car or, like, make it look ugly or anything like that. We have fitted these little plastic trims, otherwise it would look like that, if you were wondering. But it makes it look cooler when you can adjust the volume or the tune on the radio here. You can wipe on. Turn on the ignition. So these are the dials. You get as standard digital dials, but if you want to, you could also get these as non-digital and keep them relative. But why would you want that? This is way more simple. The steering wheel also has some adjustments. You can also click this button right here to get into some more stuff. Got track apps and everything that you can keep them on. We keep the Swedish because we're in Sweden, jajamän. And there's loads of things to do as well, as thing for this being a convertible. Do that. Press this gauge backwards. And when you do press that gauge backwards, the roof goes down automatically. Then go down a little bit. And yeah, so it's pretty fun, pretty clear so far. The interior system is pretty easy. You have audio, climate change, your phone, navigation, apps, and some settings that you can do with the car. Overall, it's even though the bland side, as I like to call the bland, the more standardistics, it looks simple, it's nice. The only problem with this is that if you buy with non-packageable upgrades or just nothing like that, this carbon fiber trim that you have all along here may come in fake carbon fiber. We have the package 4 upgrade, so this is actually real carbon fiber. It's pretty stiff and doesn't damage easy at all. Since carbon fiber as well as they. It's expensive as all fucking hell. We got some buttons down here. There's the transmission gearbox. Keep some. There's a cupboard here that you can charge your phone, do this thing, keep some stuff in there as well. It's pretty good. I'm just gonna wait for some cars. And also here you can adjust the lights and everything that you do here. Click this button. Secret cubby down here that you can also fold out. Oh, what's the secret when I told you? So now, leaving it, I'm just gonna turn off the ignition like that. Just a button. So moving on to the rear seats in a while, because I'm just gonna wait for the car to pass by. Actually, while they do that, let's check the boot, which I forgot how to open. I haven't opened the boot in a while on this. Just press a button underneath here. It goes up easy. Luckily, I don't have to do that because I got stabbed. In the boot, you don't get as much size. I mean, why would you want a big-sized boot for a sports car, hypothetically, GT models? Underneath here as well, you do have you actually have bigger cupboard spaces here that you can stack some stuff. In a Mustang Bullet, you get around 320 liters of boot space. I don't know how much is in this because on a Bullet, it's like more edger size on the sides here. But we're gonna move on to that a bit later, and not right now. And now, moving on to the rear seats, it's just like any modern car actually. You just press a lever here, the seats fold down automatically. Now, I would like to do this with the seats up. Thankfully, you just drag this. Camera. Okay. Luckily, I don't have to work because I got stabbed. Thank you, mother. Now, being in the rear seats, I have to conclude you that when the roof is up, you may or may not struggle if you're over 6 feet. And also, here's as well, you may touch the knees for the knee size. The wheels are in okay size. It's still pretty decently small. You can only fit 2 people in the rear. But, thankfully, this actually is a 4-seated car. Most sport cars actually come 2-seated. But you're not going to get a whole lot of space being in the rear. But you can fit 4 people, let's say, if you really, really need to. Let me discuss more about that. You just fold down the seat with that lever. You can grab in this if you would like before. And then you climb out. It's easy. Also, on this Mustang, as standard, you get 22-inch wheels. This one, however, is like 18.5-inch wheels. Definitely haven't done anything with it. And, yeah. So, I'm also going to open the engine lock soon. You also get this thing here if you want to listen to the radio. You can actually fold this down, or actually even remove it if you need to. And, oh yeah, I should probably point out, going into the boot again, say if you're cruising along, you have these plastic bit of trims that you put over here. I'm not going to fold it down, I'm just going to put it over. You can actually fit this in simple over here. I'm not going to push it in because it's a pain in the ass to remove. But yeah, fit simple. And now it's time for the engine, which you have this here. That's the boot. Vilken är det man trycker på? Which one? I actually opened the boot. Yeah, I haven't been in the passenger seat in a while. Oh yeah, it's the one by your feet that you pull, not the button. The button opens the boot. So now opening up on the GT standardistic, you get a V8 5-litre engine. Oh my freaking god, it's hot in there. And yeah, a V8 engine 5-litre that puts out 450 horsepower and 620 newton meters of torque. This thing, it moves. However, there are other sorts of Mustang. You can get the Bullet that has like around 480 horsepower and 635 newton meters. Or you could get the Mach 1 that has 500 horsepower and 615 newton meters. And some other Mustangs that I don't remember the full stats on. The V8 cylinders are pretty visible if you look through the mention block there. This actually looks like a straight if you look in it from the middle, but I promise you it's a V8. If you look around here, you can kind of see it going a bit down like that. And now it's time to take the Mustang for a drive. Are you ready, mother? So I'm just going to open the boot fully again, because I opened that with the button. You can't actually close this automatically, so you have to do it manually, which isn't too hard, I guess. And moving in to the passenger seat, I also need to say that there's loads and loads of adjustments. So let's say, oh, I have the key in there. Hold on. Just to turn on the ignition. There. There's loads, let's say you're a tall beast. You can move this seat back and down. Loads and loads until you have the adjustment where you're almost sitting in the boot of the car again. So yeah, let's head on to the motorway.
And to get a U-turn.
Yeah, we're gonna get a U-turn. Also on this standard seatbelts made from Shorbendos. Really good. Put it in and it locks on, which I think we all have been there anyway. I actually love this car, and you also get the little Mustang badge here. I also have to point out that this carbon fiber, even though it's real because we have the Pack 4 upgrade, it, maybe there you can see that, it leaves a little bit of greasy fingerprint as well, just like the BMW 5 Series and the Mercedes AMG models. They also leave this thing of trim. And this car, if you don't want to buy the Mustang, which I think you should anyway, if you don't want the Mustang, you can also, to get the same performance, you could buy a Mercedes AMG C45 or a BMW M3 standard. But if you don't like those cars and you want to go a little bit more performatic, you could also buy the what's it called again? A car that I forgot the name of. You could also buy the BMW M4 competition. Oh, the standard M4 actually is comparable to this Mustang because we have tried it for a bit. The M3 competition is also pretty close to this, but the M3 competition also uses a V8. The standard M4 also uses a V8. If you buy a standard BMW M3, you get a V6. So you may lose a little bit of performance on the trackage, so-called. I think you all have noticed by now, it's a pretty sporty like car. It has 10 gears. 10! Yeah, 10 automatic steps. Most of these cars, like the BMW, has 8. Mercedes has 9. This thing has 10. But I mean, 10 gears, you could drive a lot on them. But the ratio on these 10 gears, they're not performably quadrified. If they were more ratioed, you could be going a lot faster with this car, but you don't really need to go in extremely moderate speeds, especially since we are on just a classical highway and we're not on the full fat performance ways. Yeah, moving on to the, I'm just going to keep it on here so you can actually adjust how you would like it, and also here you can have the colon or the normal of the seat, and then one you can adjust it yourself standardly, or you can turn it up right here as well if you really need to. The dual air conditioning, you can also open and adjust that how you would like, close it if you really need it. So yeah, opening up that a lot will be easier. We should get the roof down, so I could have shown that as well. Maybe we'll do that a little sooner. But I also got to tell you that if you go for this car standard, you're gonna get the flat blenders, which I mean doesn't feel too bumpy even though we're on a road. I don't think Mustang actually comes with adaptive dampers, but you could get air suspension, which firms them up as well. Maybe not when going into the more sportier full fat performance modes. But we're not going to do that right now, just a little later. And, oh yeah, look at it. Let's watch out. I don't know if the sound when the roof is down is as good when the roof is up. Which is why I'm actually kind of screaming right now. Not really, but almost. If you guys can hear me, that's really good. We also have the upgraded, there's a second stage speakers that you get here. So they will keep a lot more noise when you turn them up. You can also hear that when cruising along if you need to. You can also roll up the windows on this to make them look like a fish tank, which we do. So yeah, being a full fat performance, this thing drains a lot of fuel. As standard on this car, you're supposed to get 60 to 65 miles per gallon, which is roughly 1.0 liters per 100 kilometers. How much are we getting right now when driving standardly?
About a liter.
Yeah, so we are getting around 60 to 65 miles per gallon on this as well. However, if you do cruise along, just like we're doing right now, you could get it down to 55 miles per gallon, and then you do one kick down and you're up to 72 miles per gallon again instantly. But you can actually kind of restrain that. I mean, it doesn't refresh at the fastest fresh rate we can fit set that. So it is, well, what could I say? Sport you liking? No, you don't actually hear the engine as much as I thought you would when we first purchased it. Price-wise here in Sweden, the newer ones are so expensive. 2018 models you can buy for around 50,000 to 60,000. The new ones are like 75,000, I would guess. We're talking dollars. If we're buying the GT, the Bullet is a little bit more expensive, so as the Mach 1. If you want even more performance than this, because this is a mid-performance technically, if you want the high performance, you should go for the GT 500. But that thing is like up on 150,000, which is also very more expensive. But also in the GT 500, you get 650 horsepower and 700 Newton meters, which moves along strutters. You also get the same 5-liter V8, which I don't mind too much. It's just that if you are buying a bigger sized car for that fucking much money, you should get a bigger engine. Maybe not, you can still keep the V8 technically, but I don't really mind. Also, as well on this, coming and a load of modes, you can actually adjust down here. You can see you have the warnings, traction control. You can actually adjust the weight and the feeling of the steering wheel, and of course there's a mode button. Why would you always need a mode button on sport cars? But basically right now we have it in comfort mode, which slackens off the weight. You get a little bit less weight, but so in comfort you also get 0.5 negative on the wheels and like NA contribute. I don't know how those works though. If you move along to normal, that's basically the normal steering wheel. You get standard weight as it is now, and you can feel a bit more. But also move that up to the sport steering wheel, which adds more weight to the steering wheel but gives additional 0.5 NAs on the wheels, meaning that you could take corners really fast and everything, and it will hold them pretty firm. So yeah, that is good as well. We're just gonna have to get up the tarmac here because we're doing a new ones. So I'm gonna be doing that later, and holy shit, this video is gonna be long, but I don't mind, because car review videos really should be long in my opinion. You could also adjust the wheel with this button here, I forgot to tell you that. So yeah, what do I think of this car? Should you buy it? Oh yes, if you need it for the performance. But you're forgetting something. If you're on the road and you need to get a mid-speed, or just hold your gears longer. Of course, with this one as well, the PRND, which is drive indicating. Actually, if you press this button down and move it back more, you get into the sport mode. If we flip that up, I'll show you. And now you have entered sport mode. Otherwise, when you're in drive, you would say normal. So that's how you enter standard sport. If you need more firmness and everything, you flick the mode switcher. My mode is your configuration with the steering wheel and everything. You flick it up one more, and you get into moving along to Sport Plus, which firms up the suspension, gives you more handling control, gives you way more response on the throttle as well. Which actually I don't mind that, but it's like the car doesn't gear at all. We're stuck in 8th gear. It's never gonna go up to 10th. Maybe if you move the gearbox into drive, it may or may not do that. We're moving up lots, and easier to do. So yeah, there's loads more modes on this as well. If you move along more, you will go into bar now, also known as race mode, which also changes up the dials. Ooh, didn't mean to do that. So that changes up the dials, shows you the gears and your speed a bit easier. And basically, race mode is not meant for sport mode, but it could be. But also, race mode also removes your traction. Can we floor it one time? Huh?
Yeah.
Floor it? Yes. So this car, it measures your gears very firmly. That's enough, that's enough. And this car, it gains speed instantly from the 5-litre V10. Moving on in the modes, you could get drag race mode, which firms up the rear most of the time doing this. But we're not going to be doing that right now, bud. So we're not going to be doing that now. For drag race mode as well, you also have track races, which you could do as well. So drag race, if you're standing still, it lifts up the rear. Moving along more, you also have the rainy Bletzy mode, which basically is you're gearing more, the traction is a way more responsive and everything. So there's loads of adjustments on the mode, and then we're back to normal mode because this thing, I put it into drive again. But I was gonna do something, but I feel like it's not necessary. Maybe being the GT models, you also have the track out, so you can do 0 to 200 meters, 0 to 400 meters. You can do 0 to 50 kilometers, 0 to 100 kilometers, and 0 to 200 or 100 to 200 kilometers. And testing all that, and like, if you get the urban models, there will be 2 dialets here, which will actually show you the maximum horsepower that you have been able to put on to the road. This one being 450. In America, you would get 460. However, now they have downgraded it. So in America, by now, if you buy the new models, you would get 450, and here in Sweden, you would get 440. Which, why in all names would you do that? Why? It's not necessary. You have kept it for so many years now. 25 years, I would say, ish. We're not going to go any more further than that. But this car is a super relaxing, even though being the fullest GT, responsive, everything. But I don't think that this is as sharp to drive as a normal, let's say, Audi or Mercedes, because for some reason it doesn't firm them. A BMW actually has better handling control than this Mustang, and this Mustang is a really heavy car for a GT. This one comes in at around 1,930 or 40 kilos, may come in close to 2 tons as well. So this one is literally just like 500 kilograms lighter than a, let's say, Lamborghini Urus, but that is also a full SUV, so keep that in mind. What was I gonna say? Yeah, you don't hear tire noise in this as well, being even that doesn't do too that. It's 20-inch alloy wheels, so we don't need that as well. Kan vi fortsätta ner sen? Because I had a plan. I'm just gonna go over to the construction site because don't want to be speeding here, don't want to be going fast. The road may be a bit bumpier. I sound sick, but that is because I can't breathe through my nose for some reason when I do these. It clogs on, maybe because the roof is down. I don't want to guess too much either. You also need to go on your specific speed for this dial up here to work, and this is the airbag displays if it's on or off. Oh yeah, you also can adjust the volume on the steering wheel if you click this as well. You can get the things on my mode. Like, okay, let me just do this. So here we go. Now we're everything in the normal. This one down here being the exhaust, how much sound you get. So on my mode, we have adjusted that to normal drive mode, comfort steering, and race exhaust, basically making it a bit more noise. So moving up to Sport Plus, of course, everything is going to be in Sport, look at that. Moving on to Race, it's pretty much everything in Sport there as well, except the exhaust and the mode. Steering wheel's in Sport, you've got to keep that weight on. On Track Race, it is pretty much the same. On snow and wet, you have exhaust and driving in normal, but the traction is like more firmed up. That's like all I know about it, really. So we're going to let the cars behind us go past us, because I want to see, this one being the GT model, how fast this thing picks up from 0 to 60 miles per hour, that being. Because in the track maps, you can adjust it by yourself, so we can show you how it's happening. So there's the Volvo just coming up, because we want to have a clearer path, made be. So to activate 0 to 60 miles per hour test lap, you press the horse steering wheel, and it is the track app's Termatics, the TM being there. And then there's acceleration timer. It's that one. We're gonna do 0 to 100. Before you go, mother, hold on. And then we're gonna put everything into the sportiest mode. So drag brake gearbox into sport. So here we go. 3, 2, 1, floor it! All the way down! So this one does it in 5.3, which still, this one is supposed to be able to do 0 to 100 in around 4.3. And the reason for that is because when you do these sorts of things, it kind of spins, because the traction isn't that fully. We could do it again with the traction off, but the reason for that is because then it could also slip slide around. So we don't want to do that, and then you exit it by just clicking the button again, which is standardized as well, you can do. Traction, by the way, being this one, and also displays if you disconnect it. The anti-spin system is now off, basically meaning that, well, you could slide off the road. You could also burn with them. We don't have tires for that. But also, even though you're in normal mode and drive, it still has great response. Can we throw it one more time? Yes? This is in normal mode. It's up to 7.5, I'm gonna guess. So even though you're in normal, it still chooses the gears perfectly, still picks up decently. Just that in sport, you just have that more aggressive feeling. And if you do want more feeling as well, as I said, you can flick this up to sport, which does add a bit more weight, however. What could I say about for comfortness? Well, seats have these more sport-like seats on both sides, which does make your thigh support not may not as much, but you also have the uplifted mat, which isn't visible on this one, but you see kind of goes up. Put your foot up there. And yeah, we're going to take a tight corner down here, and we're going to see, now we're in, let's put everything in sport one more time, and then just see how, well, aggressively we can take this corner. This one does have very good handling, especially when you're in Sport Plus. So we're going to take it from around, let's say 45 miles per hour, maybe 50. There's one car. We're not going that fast, Mappa. So here we go. Here's the aggressive corner. Don't slow down too much. Here we go. Handles great. And the responsiveness goes up. So what should if you're buying a sports car in this position, what is my verdict on the car? Should you buy it straight away? Should you consider it? Should you avoid it? Or should you shortlist it? Well, if you're looking for a mid-performance car, you should consider this car. Since this car does have a few downsides, it weighs a lot, performance is absolutely amazing, though. You will be able to keep up with an M4 if you purchase this. If you're going for a normal car, then no, then you should avoid it. This one is very expensive, especially if you're going for a normal car sized. But yeah, you should consider it being in the way it is. And I'm Agent White T, tuning out now.